Is that what I said? I didn't say that. Are you joking?
Oh, hello. Hello, I'm Dan Deacon. I'm a composer and performer based out of Baltimore, Maryland, and I'm here with Q2 to talk about my top 5 classical pieces that blew my mind and changed my music-making trajectory. I was going to call it that. Is that all right? I'm kind of into it, though.
Okay.
Because, they did. I guess we should start with Conlon Nancarrow's Study Number 21 for player piano. Nancarrow was a really interesting, this is his 100th birth year celebration, as well as Cage's, obviously, but Nancarrow was focused almost exclusively on the player piano, because all of his music was so, rhythmically complex that it would have been possible for a human, as I point to the camera, I say human, to perform. So he focused almost, like I said, exclusively on that instrument. And it really spoke to me the first time I heard it, because it was so, even though there were acoustic sounds and it was a piano, it sounded nothing like what a piano had ever sounded like. And I don't know, it just resonated in my brain and just changed the way I thought about, what complexity could mean and how you could, take acoustic sounds and manipulate them. And the fact that he was doing this in the, 50s without any electronics was just insane. The ranking system isn't real. They're not like 1 through 5. It's not like, and now for the number 1 mind-blowing, music-making, trajectory-changing song of Dan Deacon's life. The second one was probably Poppy Nogood and the Phantom Band by Terry Riley. I love the A-side of Rainbow and Curved Air, and it's definitely, another piece that continues to influence me to this day. Every time I listen to the record, there's a new aspect to focus on. But Poppy Nogood and the Phantom Band is just, it's crazy. It's just, the name itself is just preposterous, and I can just see him being like, I'm going to call it Poppy Nogood and the Phantom Band. But it fits perfectly, and, it just has this dark, brooding tone, and the way the saxophone sounds and the loops, it's just a beautiful piece of music. And I don't know, there's no profound shift in my brain. It just opened up all of these. It was sort of like, I don't know, like seeing colors that you didn't realize you've been seeing your whole life. Does that make any sense? SD/4-1, 080262. I'm not going to memorize it. The first time I heard Xenakis was I was at my parents' house, and I was coming back from college, and I think I was a freshman. And my friend Keith gave me a bunch of burned CDs, because we were still living in those dark times of burned CDs. And he gave me one of a bunch of Xenakis music. And I can't remember the first piece that I heard, but it was the only time in my life I'd ever had to. It was during the day. It was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's in the summer. And the music came on, and I took the headphones off because it scared me so much. I was mortified. I'd never heard anything like that. And it just sent shivers down my entire body. And I didn't listen to it for I didn't listen to anything for another hour or so. And just sat there kind of oh my God. Afraid to put the headphones back on. And then eventually I did, and it was just, I couldn't believe the sounds I was hearing. They were completely foreign from anything I had ever heard before. And I started seeking out everything by him I could possibly find. Xenakis. I went to this college called SUNY Purchase, and it's a state school in New York State University of New York, for people who aren't from New York. And I was in the music conservatory, and Purchase is connected by all of these underground tunnels that connect all the buildings. And you're not supposed to go in the tunnels for reasons that don't make any sense. But it's also where they put all of the garbage before it gets put in the dumpster. One day we went down there, and it was just thousands and thousands and thousands of records. And, because we'd go down there and, normally be computers, and we would just smash them or, be idiots. But the records, and they were all insane new music records. There was tons of Reich records and Glass records and Cage records and Stockhausen records. And we all just took as many as we could carry on multiple trips. And I think the record that changed the way I thought the most from that discovery from this like reaping of music. It's called, well, first of all, the composer's name is Meredith Monk, and the album is called Turtle Dreams. And I'd never thought about turtle dreams before, and like the dreams that turtles would have or anything like that. So, you know, and when you're in this frantic, like the cops could come at any moment, we've got to get as many records as we can. Do we take Carmen Bruni? No, we take Turtle Dreams. So I took Turtle Dreams, and I remember taking it home and just staring at it and just seeing the images and then reading the liner notes and putting it on, and it just, I don't know, I'd never heard anything like it, and it sounded minimalist, but it didn't sound minimalist at all, and it had its own complete quality and style. And the more I, you know, read and learned about Meredith Monk, it just completely made sense that she doesn't associate with being a musician or a writer of plays or theater. It's just its own art form. Raymond Scott is someone who definitely changed the way that I think about sound and music, and I think almost more than his music influences me, it's the fact that he was such an outsider to the establishment of the avant-garde and of the experimental music scene. He's often left out of the conversation, but so much of what we think about when it comes to sequencing and modular synths and synthesizers in general would never have happened if it wasn't for Raymond Scott. And the problem is because he didn't just make art music. He made, you know, crazy, insane art music, but he also made pop music, and he also made a ton of commercial music, like actual commercials for Sprite or the Baltimore Gas and Electric Company. And he had these music for babies records that are just, they're just straight noise. Like the musical typewriter just sounds like pure chaos. But anyway, none of that is what we're going to hear. We're going to hear Portofino number 2. I believe that's what we put down there, right? Yes. And it's a beautiful piece, and I think it shows his more pop side of it. But again, it's not at all what I think you'd think of as pop music from the 1950s. It's just, you know, I think it sounds very contemporary and almost post, you know, Nintendo music sort of sound, but it, you know, predated that by decades. I'm Dan Deacon, and thanks for still watching this on the internet. If you are, I know it's difficult to not compulsively check your email or see what could have possibly happened in the world in that 5 minutes. Should I say like when we're back or anything like that? If something did drastically important happen in the world in that 5 minutes and you missed out because you were watching me ramble about esoteric music, I apologize. Can I like it progressively, like closer? Oh yeah, and the list was my top 5, I guess classical, we put it in quotes. By classical we mean like, anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Music that like changed the way I thought and the way that they phrase it, and I really like that they phrase it, and I hope I'm not embarrassing them. Is top 5 classical pieces that blew Dan's mind and changed his music-making trajectory. And if they had phrased it any different, I would have picked different music. So I think it's important to keep that title in there. And there's no way that this is not edited out. And again, the internet.